The guy with the nicest truck on your street is probably the most broke person you know. Not kinda tight this month broke. $700 a month on a payment, $69,000 financed, one bad week away from missing it broke. And I'm not saying that to be mean about him. I'm saying it because for most of my 20s, I thought that guy had it figured out. I'd see the truck, the watch, the "just booked a trip to Tulum" post, and my brain did the thing your brain does. It went, okay, that person is winning, and I am somehow losing. Here's what took me way too long to understand. The look of money and the actual having of money are two completely different things. And most of the time, they're not just different, they're pulling against each other. The energy it takes to look rich is the exact same energy that keeps you broke. So today I want to walk you through the gap between signaling wealth and building it, because once you see it, you literally cannot unsee it. You'll start spotting it at every backyard cookout, every parking lot, every Instagram story. And more importantly, you'll stop measuring yourself against people who are quietly drowning. If you're the kind of person who's smart enough to earn decent money but nobody ever sat you down and explained how to keep it, subscribe. That's the whole point of this channel. No gurus, no manifest abundance, just the stuff a slightly more organized friend would tell you over dinner. All right, let's get into it. Let me tell you about two guys I actually know because this is where it clicks. First guy, I'll call him Marcus because that's not his name. Marcus leases a BMW, nice one, the kind that turns heads in the Whole Foods parking lot. He's got the apartment downtown, the AirPods Max, the whole thing. If you followed him online, you'd assume he's making $140 a year easy. Marcus makes $72,000 a year, and he has, I'm not exaggerating, less than $1,000 to his name. I know this because he told me at a bar after his card got declined and I covered him. Second guy, different friend, drives a Honda Accord that's older than some of his coworkers, wears the same 3 fleece pullovers on rotation. If you saw him at Costco, you'd guess he's just a regular dude scraping by. He's got almost $200,000 invested, maxes out his retirement every year without thinking about it, owns his car outright. Same age, same-ish income actually, the quiet Honda guy makes a little less. But one of them looks rich, and one of them is rich, and it is not the one you'd bet on from across a parking lot. And this is the part nobody says out loud. The reason Marcus looks richer is because he spent the money that would have made him rich on looking rich instead. That's not a paradox, that's just math. Every dollar has one job. You can send it to the BMW dealership, or you can send it to future you. It cannot do both. So why does this happen to basically everyone under 35 at some point? Because it's not a character flaw, it's the water you're swimming in. Think about how you actually experience other people's money. You never see their bank account. You never see the balance. What you see is the truck, the trip, the fit, the new kitchen. Wealth is invisible. Spending is loud. So your brain, which is running on caveman software, quietly assumes that the loudest spenders are the richest people. And it's backwards almost every single time. There's a guy who wrote a whole book on this, spent years studying actual millionaires, and the punchline was that most of them look aggressively boring. Normal houses, used cars, the kind of people you'd walk right past. Meanwhile, the flashiest neighbors were the ones refinancing to stay afloat. And look, this isn't some old-timey kids these days complaint. It's actually worse now, and it's not your fault. Because when that book came out, the flashy neighbor could only perform for the people on his street. Now, everybody's got a broadcast channel in their pocket. You're not competing with the Joneses next door anymore. You're competing with a highlight reel from every attractive, well-lit person you've ever met, running 24 hours a day, in your hand, at 11 at night when you can't sleep. That's a rigged game, and the first step out of it is just naming that it's rigged. Okay, so let's talk about the actual mechanism, because spending on status is too vague to be useful. The specific trap has a shape, and once you see the shape, you can dodge it. It works like this. You get a raise. Let's say you jump from $55,000 a year to $68. Feels amazing. Real money. So you do the reasonable seeming thing, you upgrade. Nicer apartment because you earned it. Newer car because the old one was embarrassing. The better phone plan, the DoorDash instead of cooking, the gym with the eucalyptus towels. None of those decisions is crazy on its own. That's the trap. Each one is defensible. But here's what actually happened on your bank statement. Your income went up $13,000, and your fixed monthly costs went up almost exactly $13,000. So you're making more and you feel more broke, and you genuinely cannot figure out where it went. I did this exactly. First real raise I ever got, I celebrated by upgrading my car. And within 4 months, my checking account looked identical to how it looked before the raise, except now I was locked into a payment I couldn't easily undo. The raise didn't make me richer. It just made me look richer to strangers, temporarily. That thing has a name. It's lifestyle creep. You're spending quietly rising to eat every dollar of new income, so you never actually get ahead no matter how much you make. And it's the single most common reason people making good money stay broke. Here's the part that really gets me. The people you're trying to impress? They're not thinking about you. They're thinking about who they're trying to impress. It's turtles all the way down, man. Your neighbor bought the truck partly because his buddy got one. His buddy got one because of a guy at work. Nobody in the chain is actually rich and satisfied. Everybody's just one link in a long line of people spending money they don't have to signal a status they haven't earned to an audience that isn't paying attention. And you can test this. Think about the last time you were genuinely impressed by someone's stuff. How long did it last? A day? An afternoon? You saw the car, you thought, nice, and then you went back to thinking about your own life, your own bills, your own stuff. That's what everybody does with your purchases too. The admiration you're buying is real for about 11 seconds, and then it's gone, and the payment stays for 60 months. I want to sit with that for a second because it changed how I think. You are paying, on a loan, with interest, for a feeling in other people's heads that evaporates before they've pulled out of the driveway. Meanwhile, the quiet Honda guy, nobody's impressed by him for even 1 second, and he's the only one who's actually free. So how do you tell the difference in real life? Because you can't see anyone's bank account. But there are tells. Real wealth and fake wealth leave different fingerprints, and once you know what to look for, it's kind of obvious. Fake wealth is almost always financed. The truck is a payment. The BMW is a lease. The watch was 4 interest-free installments on some app. The tell isn't the object. It's the fact that the object showed up right after the raise, or the new job, or the tax refund. Real wealth doesn't move that fast. Real wealth is slow and boring and shows up as things you can't photograph. A maxed-out retirement account, a paid-off car, 6 months of expenses sitting in a savings account earning 4% while everybody else white-knuckles through the month. Here's a clean gut check you can use on yourself. Look at the nicest thing you own right now. Then ask, do I own this, or does this own me? If it came with a monthly payment and you'd be in trouble if that payment vanished from your budget, you don't own it. It owns a piece of you every single month. And I say that with zero judgment because I have absolutely owned things that owned me. The car I mentioned? That owned me for 2 years. I just didn't have the language for it yet. If any of this is landing, if you just did that gut check in your head and winced a little, do me a favor and hit like. It genuinely helps this reach the next person who needs to hear it before they sign a lease this weekend. And if someone's face popped into your head while I was describing Marcus, send them this. You don't have to say anything. They'll get it. Now, I want to be really careful here because there's a dumb version of this message, and I don't want to give you that one. The dumb version is, never spend money, drive a beater till you die, deprive yourself of everything, and be miserable so you can have a big number in an account you never touch. That's not it. That's just being broke on purpose. Spending money on things you actually love is one of the entire points of having it. The problem was never the truck. The problem is buying the truck to be seen in the truck. The problem is when the purchase is aimed outward, at an audience, instead of inward, at something you genuinely want. So here's the filter I actually use now. Before something big, I ask myself one question. Would I still want this if it were completely invisible? Like, if I could have the nice thing but literally no one would ever know I had it, no post, no driveway reveal, no one seeing me in it, do I still want it as much? Sometimes the answer's a clear yes, and then I buy it and feel great, no guilt. But a shocking amount of the time, the honest answer is no. Which means I didn't want the thing. I wanted to be seen having the thing. And those are wildly different purchases wearing the same price tag. That one question has saved me more money than any budgeting app I've ever downloaded. Because it attacks the actual driver, not the symptom. Let me put some real numbers on what this costs, because "you'd be richer" is too soft. Let's go back to Marcus and the Honda guy. Marcus's car situation, payment, insurance on a nicer vehicle, the whole package runs him about $900 a month. The Honda guy's total cost of driving all in is maybe $200, so there's a $700 a month gap between them, and they make roughly the same money. That gap isn't going into a hole, it's going somewhere. For Marcus, it's going to a dealership and an insurance company. For Honda guy, it's going into investments, Invested steadily, earning a normal market return, is a little over $120,000 in 10 years. In 20 years, it's north of $400,000. Same income, same decade of their lives. One of them is going to be genuinely wealthy, and one of them is going to be 60 with a nice truck and no cushion, and the only difference between them was who they were trying to impress in their 30s. And here's the brutal part. Marcus doesn't feel $400,000 poorer. He feels normal. He feels like he's doing fine. That's the danger. The cost is invisible and delayed, and the reward for spending is instant and loud. Your brain will pick instant and loud every single time unless you consciously override it. Nobody hands you a bill that says, "This is what looking rich cost you." So I'm handing you one right now. It's 400 grand, rough estimate. Okay, here's the reframe. This is the thing I actually want you to walk away with, so stay with me for a second. We've all been running around thinking wealth is a look, that being rich is a thing other people can see on you, the car, the fit, the address. But real wealth is almost the exact opposite. Real wealth is the stuff nobody sees. It's the money you didn't spend. It's the options you quietly built up. It's the fact that you could lose your job on a Tuesday and be genuinely fine for 6 months while everybody who looks richer than you is panicking by Friday. Flip the whole thing around. Every time you choose not to buy the status symbol, you're not depriving yourself. You're buying something. You're buying freedom in a form that just doesn't happen to be photogenic. The quiet Honda guy isn't missing out on the nice truck. He bought something better with that money. He bought the ability to not care. He bought the ability to walk away from a bad boss. He bought sleep. And once you see wealth as invisible instead of visible, the whole status game just kind of stops working on you. The flashy neighbor stops looking like he's winning. He starts looking like what he actually is, a guy paying a monthly fee to perform a life he can't afford for an audience that forgot about him 10 seconds after he drove by. That's the click. Broke isn't the absence of stuff. Broke is owing your future to your image. And rich, real rich, is when nobody can tell, and you don't need them to. So what do you actually do with this, starting this week? 3 things, and none of them require a spreadsheet. First, do the gut check on the nicest thing you already own. Own it or owns you? Just knowing the answer changes how you feel about the next purchase. Second, the next time you're about to buy something big, run the invisible test. Would you still want it if nobody could ever see you with it? If the answer's no, you just saved yourself a payment and dodged some interest. Third, and this is the real one, when your income goes up, don't let your lifestyle rise to meet it automatically. Take at least half of any raise and send it somewhere your future self will thank you for before your spending even notices it exists. That's it. That's the whole system. You don't have to drive a beater and eat rice. You just have to stop paying a monthly fee to look rich for strangers and start quietly buying the thing that actually is rich, which is not needing anyone to think you are. If this reframed how you look at your flashy neighbor, you'll probably want the video I did on lifestyle creep, the exact mechanism that eats your raises before you feel them. It's the natural next piece of this. And I'm curious about you specifically. Drop it in the comments. What's the one purchase you made mostly to be seen with it that you'd take back if you could? No judgment. I'll go first in the replies. I've got a whole story about a car. The guy with the nicest truck on your street is probably the most broke person you know. Now you know why. And more importantly, you don't have to be him.